Welcome back, everybody. I'm Betty Nguyen, and we are continuing our breaking news coverage out of Jordan. The country has executed 2 prisoners, including a would-be female suicide bomber it had hoped to exchange for a Jordanian pilot who was killed by Islamic State militants. Now, on Tuesday, the ISIS that is, released a 22-minute video showing the burning of the Jordanian pilot. The execution reportedly happened January 3rd. On the phone, we have Sheera Frenkel, BuzzFeed's Middle East correspondent, and Steve Clemens, Washington editor-at-large for The Atlantic. Sheera, I want to start with you. What kind of message was Jordan's King Abdullah sending with the swift retaliation and execution of these prisoners?
I think he was really sending a message to his own people. I was in Jordan last week and spoke with a great number of people there who wanted to see exactly this sort of action taken. They feel like Jordan has been quite passive. There's been a lot of negotiations back and forth, and they feel like they haven't taken a strong enough stance against the Islamic State, ISIS. So I think Jordan's king was seeking to reassure the public to say, we will execute these people, we will take harsher action against ISIS, and trying to sort of rally some sort of support both for himself and for his government's decision to join the U.S. coalition in fighting ISIS.
Do you think it's going to end with these executions, or is Jordan going to go further, if you will, and do more in the area of retaliation for the killing of its pilot?
We're already seeing them go further. There have been arrests in cities like Ma'an and Zarqa, where support for ISIS is really growing, and we've seen them strengthen their forces along the border. I think the Jordanian public now, the sheer brutality of that video, of watching one of their own be burned alive and then to have it sort of captured in video in that way, the Jordanian public won't stand for it, and they want to see Jordan take very strong, decisive action at this point.
Yes, they were out in the streets. They were holding the picture of the pilot. They indeed wanted retaliation, and they got it today. All right. Thank you, Sheera. I want to go back now to Steve Clemens, Washington editor-at-large for The Atlantic. I was talking to Sheera just moments ago, Steve, about what happens next. In your eyes, what do you see happening?
Well, I think that Jordan will continue to crack down on people that it sees as contributing, funding, participating in activities that help organizations like ISIS and al-Nusra. I think you'll see Jordan step up at the national government level and organize forces to take a more kinetic role against ISIS. I think that you will see the king, King Abdullah, who I think before this had been looked at as weak and somewhat unsure of himself. I think you're beginning to see evidence that he sees that this is the moment to show that he has a lot of his father in him, King Hussein, and that he is going to be firm, have great resolve, and move his country forward, because I think that he sees now the people in the streets are supporting and really calling for much more decisive action from him.
Absolutely. We're looking at video of that right now. Do you think ISIS should be worried at this point that their plan, their brutality has possibly backfired?
It's very, very hard to know what they consider the cost for what they've done. And, you know, when you look at the fact that they tried to make a strategic ploy in holding Kobani and may have lost upwards of 2,000 or 3,000 people in Kobani, you could ask yourselves, does ISIS think that was worth it? Or do they think in other places in northern Iraq where they staged coups or took over Mosul Dam, and they still hold significant parts of Mosul or Mount Sinjar? There are various points with what they were doing with the Yazidis that you think about the horror this group has created. Each one of these things has been substantial, but ISIS seems to have a different calculation. So I don't want to say that they think that that the blowback and the mistake that they may have made in this is something that they will ever acknowledge. I think that they think that on the whole, you know, in terms of net value that this kind of horrific video creates, it brands them as the terror group in the world that most matters at this time. And that's what they really want. And we're giving it to them in a way with the attention and with the reaction. So in that, they very much succeeded.
But it's really hard not to react when you see this Jordanian pilot behind a cage, trapped in this cage, and then set on fire,
Absolutely.
burn alive. Do you think ISIS, just the mindset behind the people running this organization, this terrorist organization, that perhaps they will ratchet it up even more so than this?
This is a calculating death cult. And, you know, I tell you, we need to be careful of reckless speculation, and I'm one that thinks that we have so many strategic challenges in the world. This is but one, and you can't get too lost in one set of challenges. But when I was just in Paris and visited the site where the Charlie Hebdo attacks happened, went into various parts of Paris where there's a lot of disaffection and concern, and it is an interesting thing to think about, that there's a lot of traffic. You have over 1,500 French people that have gone to Syria to volunteer and join up with ISIS. You have 18,000 foreign fighters. Many of these are European who can go into the United States without visas. This could come here someday, and it's something we have to be prepared for and think about.
It's a scary thought. All right, Steve Clemens with The Atlantic, thanks so much for your insight. We do appreciate